Hey horror fans, thanks for joining me for this review of The Swerve. Alright, cast and crew information down below, and very, very brief IMDb plot here. A woman with a seemingly ideal life battles insomnia. There's a much longer one, but that basically tells the whole story, which I'm going to say anyway. So we'll stick with the short one. So the first point here with this film is probably wouldn't have watched this. I saw this one uh, mostly listed, and I didn't know too much about it. I kind of caught this one listed on some people's top horror movies of the year, and that kind of caught my attention, and I was kind of wondering why. And I looked at IMDb, and it kind of just lists this one as drama. So that kind of piqued my curiosity as well. Um, you know, movies can cross different genres and so forth. I guess it comes down to, what is your definition of horror? How much horror do you need in a movie to call it horror? Um, what is it primarily, the plot? What is primarily going on here? And so that's kind of the curious thing about this movie to start. Um, as I turned this on, I kind of hesitated. If you've caught my reviews, dramas aren't usually my thing. I give everything an honest watch. But they're not my thing. I like blood and guts. I like a little mystery and things with twists and so forth. And I don't know that you call it a twist in this story. There's obviously something going on here that they don't make abundantly clear. And so the basics of the story is, and then we'll further the conversation of horror or not. Is you have a young woman, or not a young woman, a woman who's her name is Holly, and she's married and has two kids, and seems to be living the average life here with the two kids and marriage and so forth. She's a teacher, so she's got that going for her. But I guess she's come at a point where she might not be as happy as she seems to maybe others. Maybe not be as happy, to her kids and to her husband as she seems to be. And I guess, as they say here, she kind of starts battling with insomnia and taking some pills, and that becomes a problem. Um, they list this as a drama, so we're going to get a lot of drama. So you're going to get to see her struggles. You're going to get to see her take medicine. You're going to get to see her, a little bit at school. There's a little bit of time when she's teaching, a little bit of time with her interaction. There is an extremely awkward, and I'm going to, as you know, I try to keep as much spoilers out of these reviews as possible. And, try to give you something, but not, anything that I would think is a surprise or a good part of the movie that it's a little bit shocking, and I guess there is a little bit here. She does get a little closer to one student than she probably should, and I'll leave it at that. Again, is that her? Is that the medicine? Is that just circumstance? You get a lot of different factors going on here as far as she's concerned. And with that, maybe she gets a little paranoid. She starts wondering about her husband. Her husband works in a local grocery store. I guess small to medium sized setup there. And I guess he's the manager there, so she kind of gets a little paranoid of that. And, what he's up to. And then you kind of wonder where the title of this movie comes in. And here's where I'm going to try to balance giving you a little information and not spoiling anything. Again, this is not one of these movies with a terrific twist at the end that I'm spoiling for you. But I want to let you have something to watch. There is an event that happens to her, and I guess that's kind of where you get the name of this movie. And along with, you can kind of tie it to other things like the swerving of her life, the changing of direction of her life. There are some moments that kind of swerve real quickly for her within the film. And, you can kind of tie it to that, but I guess there's a little bit bigger of an overall thing that happens just to her. And I guess you could tie in the name of the movie to that as well. And that, like I said, that's a big moment for her and something that only happens to her and only she knows, at least for a while. And it's something that begins to weigh on her and doesn't make things easier for her situation. And taking drugs and not being able to sleep and so forth. And, just adds kind of to the drama of the story. So where's the horror in this? You can say that her situation is horror. It is horror to go through what she goes through. To battle insomnia like that and to the point where you have to take drugs is as horrible as it is. You're kind of tying horror in there loosely. The event that happens to her and her only that I just mentioned is horror in itself. But they leave a little mystery to it. They don't show you everything. They she makes reference to it. You kind of, without showing it, you basically know what happened. Maybe you battle with like her of whether it happened or didn't happen, and I think it gets to a point with her it doesn't really matter whether it did or not if she at least has that thought in her head. And then there's a little bit of horror at the end of the movie. So is it horror or not? Again, that's a tough question here, and I think that's, I saw this after, I saw this obviously more recently, so I saw this after I did my list for 2020, and, that's a closed book and done already. But had I had seen this earlier, I really don't think this would have landed there, just because, again, it has elements of horror in it, but I would probably say this is definitely more of a drama than a horror movie. Which then kind of says, well, what am I doing this? Well, like I said, some other people did it, so, I guess I have to feel that I'm going to throw in my 2 cents here and kind of say, well, I do see the elements there. I would hate to bump a movie, and I'm not taking a shot at anybody else's list and so forth. It's your list, your favorites. You do what you want, and some people get to see a lot of movies, and some people get to see not as many, so it's hard to come to choose by. So, your list is your list, and then that's fine. If you included it, you included it. I wouldn't have included it. I would have, given the spot, and like I did, given the spot to something that I would consider more, something that's more deserved of horror. And you can probably go through some of my list and argue movie X, Y, and Z, if that belonged there or not. And sometimes you find one that might be more sci-fi and, than horror. But, sometimes we interchange those depending on the story. But anyway, I think that is one issue there. So, but as for the movie itself, it is definitely a fantastic movie. Well done, well acted. Azura Skye, maybe? That might be how you pronounce it. Hopefully I didn't butcher her name, but she's the one who plays Holly. Fantastic job. wonderful job that she does. She obviously has a tough role to play. But yeah, all that besides the point. I mean, if you want to watch this movie, go right on ahead. But I just not gonna say that it's a horror movie. I guess I say it over and over. And with that, I think I don't. It kind of makes me battle with what the score I want to give it, and I think I'm gonna lean to 2.5 because I think it's a good movie. Had I would have thought it was more of a horror movie, I probably definitely would have given it a higher score, but because it's not, I don't want to start going too far into that territory. But definitely a movie if you come across and you're not necessarily looking for something blood and guts and true horror, but something that's a good movie, well shot, and something that shows a woman who's battling here and struggling. Definitely throw this on. Like I said, there's some good moments here. It has a good final scene. There, like I said, there's some interesting scene there with her and one of her students. There's some good worthy scenes put together in here. Like if this was more of a horror movie, I would have probably given it a higher score. With that, I guess I'll just cop out at 2.5. But yeah, that's I guess that's gonna be all it is for this movie. So with that, horrorscorereviews.blogspot.com is where you can find more video reviews and plenty of written ones as well. Twitter, Facebook, information down below as well. If you want to talk about this movie, other movies, maybe you had this in your list and you want to argue with me about it, we can do that. Like I said, no offense taken. To me, it didn't have enough horror in it for me to throw it in the same boat with some of the other ones. But yeah, and if you want to comment, there's a comment section below, please do. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want some more reviews. And if you want to maybe argue with me about what horror is and is not. Interesting topic, to say the least. So with that, I guess I'll catch you on the next review, horror fans.